What's up, fight fans? Been a minute, but we're back at it to talk some fights. Just not been inspired by the fights lately, and I've been really busy with family stuff. I'm fresh out the shower, so I got the wet hair. I'm kind of not even dressed for a video, but we're doing it anyway. Podcast guys don't have to look at my ugly face. So we got two things coming today. First, we're going to be talking about Joshua and Usyk, or I should say Usyk and Joshua, because Usyk won that fight. And then UFC 266, YouTube, it'll be split into two, so if you want to check it, subscribe. As a matter of fact, like, subscribe to the video, subscribe to the podcast, review, all that good stuff. And yeah, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget, if you want to get in on the podcast, just suggestions or you have your questions answered on the podcast or anything in general, just want to support, check out my Patreon. My Patreon is Fight Library, as everything else. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get into Joshua and Usyk. First of all, great fight. Absolutely fantastic fight. I called it from the start, though. I've been telling my friend that Blaine Colley is his name. I've been telling him Usyk's going to beat Joshua, and he did not believe me. So guess what? I was right. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so round one, it was really a masterclass performance by Oleksandr Usyk, because of the fact that Usyk's the unified cruiserweight champion, or the undisputed cruiserweight champion, and Joshua is the unified heavyweight champion. So it was really kind of like a Holyfield moving up type thing to take on Mike Tyson, except Anthony Joshua's not Mike Tyson, and Usyk's really not Holyfield. Yeah, so. Usyk starts off really good. The fight what was so fun about it was like the momentum shift throughout the fight. Usyk started off really strong. Joshua, he has that probing jab where he feels the distance with a jab, and Usyk would use that against him, and he would dip it, and then, or actually he would dip it, and then come in with a straight, or come over to the top. He really was good at. It was Southpaw versus Orthodox, with Joshua being, I believe Joshua was Orthodox and Usyk Southpaw. Either way, so you got that lead foot pointing at each other. If you remember the second Creed movie, the guys, they put their foot in the middle of a tire. It's kind of what it's like. So Usyk all night was really gaining the outside foot advantage. And if you've checked out our technical readout on Jose Zepeda versus Ivan Baranchyk, which was a banger of a fight, Zepeda did that all night, and he really had success stepping in and getting the angle. Stepping in on the outside of the foot in a Southpaw versus Orthodox. It's it's not the end all be all. You can also have success stepping on the inside of the lead foot, but when you're stepping on the outside, your opponent, you're away from their lead hand, you're across their body, and you really have an opportunity to hurt them at an angle where there's less risk. I'm not going to say there's no risk, but there is less risk. There's always the chance that the opponent pivots out and cracks you with a straight. And we saw that in the Usyk fight. But, yeah, so Usyk was very, very mobile in the first round. Round two, not as mobile. He kind of just feeling Joshua out. But then in round three, he kind of started putting it together with motion and volume, which was how he was going to win this fight always. Near the end of the round three, he really started getting the better of Anthony Joshua, and Joshua came out in round four and really looked timid. You're like, oh man, is Joshua hurt? Because he was hurt a couple times in this fight, and I believe he was, not hurt, but I believe his confidence was shaking. You saw that. But round five, Joshua, being the bigger man, he should have done this the whole fight, leaning on Usyk and tiring him out, because we don't know how Usyk's gas tank is. As far as we know, it's not good. Against Witherspoon and Derek Chisora, he looked bad because he looked tired the fight. Got it done with those two, but yeah. So, into the round, Joshua, he started feeling it, and him and Usyk started banging more, which is where Joshua really, really shined. I enjoyed that section of the fight. And then, he went back and forth. So we're in the middle of the fight, round 7, and Joshua throws a lead left, and Usyk lands a monster left hook with a Southpaw versus Orthodox. And then he, as Joshua's feeling himself, Usyk lands a big left in round 7, and Joshua stumbles back. And you could tell that the damage from Oleksandr Usyk was really starting to add up on Anthony Joshua. He didn't hit the hardest, especially at heavyweight, but it adds up. Getting the pitter patter punches, which is what Usyk's been doing this whole time anyway. He's not a monster puncher, one hit. He's not a one hitter quitter. He's really, really good at working you and making you realize, oh man, I am drowning. He's a kind of a pace fighter, kind of like a heavyweight Lomachenko, which I've been saying for a while. So yeah, Usyk overwhelmed him. In round 8, though, he was patient. He came out patient, which worked in Joshua's hands, kind of let him off the hook. Joshua would land around round 8, and Usyk would let him just keep coming forward. So Joshua started walking him down, and I was like, oh man, this is switching back the other way. And Joshua really started finding that lead. I think it was the lead hook to the body, and you could tell that was really hurting you. It was an uppercut to the body, I guess you would say, kind of just to the solar plexus. And yeah. Round 9, Joshua tries to cheat and grabs the back of Usyk's head and fire an uppercut. That's illegal. Usyk starts going to the body more after round 8, though, because I think Joshua reminded him of it. So yeah, a left hook landed clean at the end of round 9. Joshua started pushing forward, though. He might have been hurt, but yeah. Round 10, Usyk's tired. I think I was thinking this was going to start going Joshua's way, and he might get finished late here in 11 or 12. Usyk came out early, though, and he started going, and a great right he had while dipping from Joshua, and Usyk kind of got tired. So Joshua came on late to this round. I'm like, that's where I was starting to think, oh man, Anthony Joshua might win this fight, because he's losing this fight. I had no doubt in my mind that Usyk was winning, with the exception of the shoddy UK judging that we all have come to love recently. But yeah, so round 11 comes out, and Usyk lands a jab and clips Joshua in the exchange. And it was an all Usyk round. He really, really showed up in that round and showed how he's not. He's 18 or 19-0 now, 20-0, whatever his record is, and it's not like it's a big deal to him. He's been there. He's won the Olympic gold medal. He unified completely the cruiserweight division, and now he's in the heavyweight division. It's just all normal for him. He finished round 11 really, really strong. Round 12 was by far the best round of the night, though. So Joshua comes in. He has a big counter right, and it rocks Usyk a little bit. He's not. I wouldn't say he's wobbled, but it does hurt Usyk. But Usyk won't get off of him. He keeps coming forward. But Joshua starts pushing forward too. And Usyk, how he countered that, you want to come forward? Great. And he started overwhelming him with volume. You keep coming forward. That's fine. I am good at boxing. And that's what Usyk's whole game plan was this whole fight. He said it afterwards. And Joshua just couldn't deal with the volume of Usyk, especially late. I don't think he expected Usyk to be as conditioned for this fight, looking at the Chisora fight and the Witherspoon fight. Those two fights, he didn't really look like he had the chops for heavyweight. And it turns out he does. Obviously, we saw him just beat Anthony Joshua. He really does. So the end of the fight was great. Usyk catches him with a 2. He just comes across and with his left hand, with his left hand, and Joshua backs up and he looks wobbly. His legs are kind of going. You're like, oh man. And then at the end of the round, Usyk starts pouring it on and just wailing on Joshua. Joshua's against the ropes and and then he's smiling at him. And then the bell rings and there's still time on the clock on the thing. So whether it was premature or not, who cares? It could have been a knockout, but 8 seconds isn't going to make or break it. So yeah. Great fight though. It was absolutely a fantastic fight. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest you go watch it because it is a very, very fun fight. It's what heavyweight boxing should be, and it delivered everything and more. As for the future, there is a rematch clause, and Eddie Hearn's already talking about AJ taking the rematch, but at the same time, AJ might not do it. He might be like, man, I'm out. I'm just going to make some money because that's it for me, He's young. He's in his 30s, but Usyk's good. What could Joshua do? I mean, he can come in bigger. I think that would work to his advantage, maybe. He landed some good shots on Usyk, but in the rematch, you always got to go with the boxer, and Usyk's the better boxer. There's the Joshua rematch. Wilder and Fury, they're fighting in a couple weeks, and we'll be talking about that. Actually, I think I'm gonna do a preview on that one also the week of the fight. So be on the lookout for that. I don't really do previews on boxing too much because I don't keep up with the pregame, but I need to. But yeah, so there's the Wilder and Fury fight. There's obviously Joseph Parker out there, he can fight, and then you got people like Hrgovic coming up. That's it's gonna be really fun. I don't know if Usyk does it. I think he just wants, he'll get rid of the rematch clause if he has to, and should he beat Joshua, yeah. But if Joshua wins, don't count on a rematch, a third, because man, that'd be a banger. But yeah, so he goes fight Tyson Fury. I don't know if Usyk beats Tyson Fury. So Fury's kind of like, he's good at what gave Usyk problems against Joshua, but he's also big and he can use the size and walk him down. And yeah, so it's a great fight, and I'll have to pontificate it on more, especially if they announce it. I'll start really thinking on it. But I really got my my eggs in the Usyk, not the Usyk, the Tyson Fury basket on that hypothetical matchup. Man, unified heavyweight division, I need it. Anyways, boxing fam, that's going to be it. Podcast, we're about to hop on over to UFC. Actually, it's going to be a second episode, but yeah, UFC. So anyways, guys, thank you again. Drop a sub, drop a review. Catch me on Twitter, Blaine Henry TFL. It's in the comments or in the description. Yeah, so I'm out.